Oh,
There we go. This is the Tack Daddy After Show with the intro music provided by the Tack Daddy. Anyway, what's up, guys? Stone Guy 223. Um, Continuing the conversation topics from the Tack Daddy live show. Hopefully, you guys were just over there watching that. If not, check out Tack Daddy live every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern. So let's jump right into it. Um, I've been keeping up with. Obviously, we kind of talked to death the whole Russian. Um, what did we say we were going to call it? It's not a ban, restrictions, not a. The fuck was that word?
didn't you learn anything?
I know. I got short-term memory problems.
It was 1 hour ago.
Well, no, sanction, sanction.
Short.
I couldn't think of the word. The sanctions put on the different Russian companies by the U.S. I still contend that the sanctions, while not an outright ban, are going to make it to where we're not going to be able to get those products anymore. And I think that's the biggest key is eventually, yes, we can still buy the products that are here, but we're not going to be able to replenish those products. Thereby, eventually, when those products run out, we're not going to have them. We're not going to be able to get them. Take it for what you will. The bigger thing that we didn't get to talk about in Tack Daddy's show is this Malaysian airliner that was shot down 33,000 feet in the air. So I think Woody mentioned something. Why the fuck are they flying over a war zone in the first place? Well, I mean, common sense may dictate.
Bad
Um,
weather. Bad weather. My wife is reporting bad weather. She's official source.
well, it's a main. You know how traffic patterns work with that. I mean, they have to fly. That's their route. They're 33,000 feet in the air. It's not like they're buzzing the tower right over the fucking tanks and shit. You know what I mean? These guys were. This is a commercial airliner, way up in the air, shot down. Of course, everybody's blaming everybody. I just watched. I'm watching MSNBC as we speak. They're kind of all throwing around here and there, but the biggest thing was that um, apparently Putin had got on a conference call with Obama because he was real upset about the sanctions passed down. I mean, this is really pissed Russia off. I mean, when Obama came up with these sanctions, and it's not from what I just saw on the news, it was five companies, firearms companies, two big power companies, and like three banks or something of that something somewhere. I mean, it's not just firearms, so it's like banks and power companies and some other entity that we place sanctions against, and so it pissed Russia off. And so Putin's like, look, I need to talk to I need to talk to Obama, and maybe we can hash this out. So while they're on the phone, that's when this plane was shot down. So that didn't help his case any. Of course, he's blaming Ukraine. Obviously, Ukraine is like, fuck, it wasn't us, it's you guys, So
So during that conference call, the inference is that at some point Obama looked over at the guy with the special phone and gave him the nod.
Well, also remember it's an 18-year anniversary today of the plane that went down um, off of Long Island, I think it was, but some people thought it was shot down by a missile. The plane just blew up in midair.
You're talking about the one from New York to Paris?
Yep.
Yeah, a friend of mine was on that flight. Flight 800, I think it was, wasn't it?
I think so. I'm not 100% sure, but
Yeah.
that was today.
This is what amazes me. Sorry, but they know a missile was fired out of Ukraine, took this plane out, and it just coincidentally on the same day as something that happened plane related 18 years ago. Which again, there could be another day where you said, okay, this happened on the same day this other jetliner was lost or something.
Yeah, I think
I don't see any connection between 18 year ago anniversary of a plane blowing up to this
Oh,
point.
I don't see a correlation either, but people are bringing that up. So
yeah, well, fuck them.
They believe in horoscopes. Those people.
well, they're the ones who wear the tin foil hat. You know, foil is awesome, but not to be worn on the head.
I'm just teasing. So, honestly, the reason I titled this chat "The Shit's About to Get Real" is because honestly, you know, despite the fact that these sanctions have gone out, there's definitely there's going to be some political backlash. Obviously, if the president of Russia feels strongly enough to call for our president to like have a conversation about it, like to, you know, like holy shit, we need to talk. That's a big deal. So there's a statement put out by not Putin himself, but I guess his press secretary or his, you know, like his Congress or his people, you know, however, whatever their political structure is. I'm not familiar with, you know, the different houses over there, but saying that basically this is gonna set back the relationship between America and Russia to how it was in the 1980s. That by the things that Obama's doing is basically I don't know if you considered a like throwing down the gauntlet, so to speak, but it's kind of a slap in the face to Russia, and I don't know if it's necessarily a great idea. Personally, I mean, we've always said that our next I've always said that, you know, our next big like world war would be with, you know, Russia would be involved. I don't know who would back, you know, obviously North Korea. It's kind of up in the air whether China would jump on Russia's side. I don't know.
There's nothing up in the air about that.
Well, we do a lot with China. We do a lot of trade, but I think if it came down to it, I think China would back Russia. I don't know.
Because they're trying to get rid of the U.S. But here's my thing. In your opinion, who has the technology to find out that this plane is 30,000 feet in the air and to know to shoot it? Who? The rebels or the Russians?
Yeah, no shit, right? Yeah.
I'm just asking this. I'm just throwing this out there.
Oh, I would definitely say the Russians. I mean, they're
SAMs can see this plane at 30,000 feet. Who has that technology to first of all see this plane at 30,000 feet, acquire missile guidance to launch that distance, and set off those SAMs? Who has that technology? The guys that just robbed the place and learned about it, or the people that know about it for a while? I'm just throwing this out. Somebody answer.
Yeah, and you also got to remember today it was an overcast day. They could not see the plane, so it would have to have radar lock, just like the plane.
Well, no shit. At 33,000 feet, you're not seeing it from the ground.
They've already shown diagrams of what weapon was used. They know exactly what was fired.
The SAM.
CNN just had a guy in like a virtual land where the missile was in front of him. He's like, if this is the kind of weapon that was used, it's like they know.
It's
And here's the second
they're
thing.
talking about
That plane got shot by a missile from anyone. We know this, right? This is all over the news, but yet we don't know. And I don't want to change subjects here of anything about the Benghazi thing.
But you just did. So let's hear it.
I mean, not to jump subjects. We don't know anything about Benghazi. We know, like 10 minutes into this, that it was a militant missile, you know, that shot down the Malaysian air flight. But we know nothing about Benghazi, and that's still on the back burner.
Well, I think the thing with Benghazi is we knew, or the people that mattered knew right away. They just covered it up immediately. Whereas this, you know, it's kind of hard to cover up a commercial plane with 298 people blown out of the sky.
295.
Thank you for the precise count there.
again,
Well,
I mean,
it's important. And
a lot of things.
yeah.
We have a lot of
Everything I've
things
been
that-
hearing is they're using these. Basically, they're just basically like a flatbed truck with 3 or 4 missiles in the back. I can't remember the exact classification, but they're 11, 17s. There's some letters in front of that for whatever they are. But
This ain't the
Pretty advanced.
Wolverines with a flatbed truck. This is like a tank type of weapon that
well,
has.
I'm talking about a military flatbed truck, not a pickup truck.
It's coming out of a battery. In other words, you're saying it's a missile battery, not a single.
It's a single.
Like a
It's not
rocket.
like a shoulder. It's not like a shoulder launch missile. It's like a truck because it's the only thing you're gonna have to get range
Yeah.
up that high and have the radar to be able to locate the plane and lock onto the plane.
They have this tank vehicle. It's a 5-man vehicle. They're talking about the fact that it can stop somewhere, target somebody within 20 seconds. The missile will hit them at 30,000 feet within 40 seconds. I mean, they were already breaking it down. They know what this thing was. And again,
Is that a Russian vehicle?
It
Exactly.
looked yeah, exactly.
Has the technology to do something.
Exactly.
A random guy. Like we have enemies out in Afghanistan and stuff like that, and ISIS and crazy fucks that are mounting big guns on the back of Toyota Tacomas and riding out in the desert and shooting these these heavy artillery weapons. But these things are guided missile defense systems. These things are like they're SAM turrets is what they are, mounted in the back of these trucks. And you have to know, you have to acquire targets. It's not just like, oh, I hear the noise of an airplane, let me just launch just a certain way. You have to know how to use it. Who has the technology to use that? Who put that into place? Not the average fuck that's launching rockets, across the Gaza Strip to random targets.
Well, yeah, and I think we all know that's bullshit with Russia blaming Ukraine because there again, I mean, that's got to be pretty damn embarrassing for the Russian president to be on the phone trying to hash out sanctions with our president and a fucking passenger jet gets shot out of the air. I mean, that's so obviously they're going to try to divert blame and point the finger and say, no, that wasn't us. I mean, right now I think they're showing right now what you're talking about on MSNBC. Their TAC Daddy, that tank with the 4 missiles on the top.
It sounds to me like some old
There's
European pamphlet propaganda type shit coming out of Russia again.
Oh yeah, I mean that's but the biggest thing I don't understand, and this is just me kind of ignorant to the whole situation because I mean I haven't done my due diligence and research, but initially when all this kicked off, this was a territory in Ukraine that the Russians wanted to take over, the claim for their land or something. Is that? I mean, and when all this, because this has been going on for some months now, and just finally escalated to the point of where we're at today. But initially, didn't they like get a vote up and ask the people of Crimea if they wanted to be like part of Russia, and the vote was overwhelmingly for it?
Well, that'd be kind of like taking a vote right after the Civil War. Do you want your slaves back? And you only took it in the South.
Well,
Of course, that's going to happen. That's because Crimea is mostly Russian.
Well, and I guess that's what I don't understand about this whole conflict is, like why are we involved? Like how does this affect the U.S. in any way, shape, or form? I mean, these are two countries that are, fighting amongst themselves, or territory, political. They want this because it's near an oil reserve or some shit. I mean, why do we have to be involved in this?
Oh, that I keep hearing in the back of my mind, and I don't know if you guys remember this phrase, but it goes something like this: I'll have Putin. I will have more leeway once I get my second term in.
His second what?
Term.
Oh, his second term. Okay. Well, that sounds like our president, for that matter.
Exactly. You guys remember that on TV when he said that, when he whispered that into Putin's ear?
No, I don't remember. Yeah, I mean, that's on record of him saying that to Putin?
Yeah, he reached across like he's saying, and he said, "Wait till it's my second term. Wait, it'll be easier."
In term, I'll have more pull.
No, shit, I guess that one.
You want, but this can be a whole another picture of them team. That's all they keep.
Well, I mean, so if that's... Well, if that's the case, I mean, if I don't know. I mean, that just goes into a lot of theories and a lot of what ifs. But if if it seems like you're saying where he's telling him, wait, I'll be able to do this or this, and I don't know. So why would he?
I don't know. I mean, what if you start something, because you can't, you're not going to go against the American people and be like, hey, let me get the shirt off your back. You're going to take a button at a time and a thread at a time and say, why don't you start something, and then we can start some, I'll throw a sanction and take guns off the street this way, and then I'll come around and take guns off the street that way. I mean, nobody's going to, the camel is going to get underneath the tent one, nose at a time, then he's going to put his paw in at the time until the whole camel's under the tent. And this is just throwing up theories and, things like that up, but we don't know exactly what's going on.
Oh yeah, obviously that's pretty much all we do on any of these chats is just kind of, hypothesize on what could be or what we think or, how we see it from an outside perspective or, But it's scary to think that this, unless they are in cahoots in some way, shape, or form, if this could be a potential deal breaker with the U.S. and Russia, with all the...
Knock on my front door in about 5 minutes.
So, I had to go help my wife with something there, but I just want to throw out an idea that I had. Is everyone aware of what Vladimir Putin did whenever the Muslim terrorists from Chechnya took the hostages in the school? Or it was the theater, maybe. Yeah, it was a theater.
No.
What did
He
do?
poison gassed everyone.
Well, that was
Right on.
That was a million years ago, wasn't it?
I don't know. Maybe I need to do some research. But, it's kind of like one of those things where Putin's pretty hardcore. And if Putin's sitting there getting sanctions put against him and his defense is, hey, Ukraine's a crap hole and I'm trying to restore order with the Russian army, and then he makes it look like the rebels shoot down a passing passenger jet, then he can come out and go, look, the rebels just shot down an innocent jet. I'm just trying to fix things. Will we put it past him to do something like that?
I don't know, coming from a guy that rides horses topless.
Ex-KGB officer. I mean, he's a pretty scary dude. I don't think he's pretty covert his entire life.
Anything.
No. By the way, that's the picture that, at least if you can see my screen, that's the few news sources I say that's the vehicle they used.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's the thing. That's the whole deal with this. Is we really don't know what's going to happen. We really don't know what the catalyst for all this was. But the worst case scenario, if the two presidents, the Russian president and the United States president, are not in cahoots, it's not some kind of orchestrated, plan, then if we truly piss Russia off and fracture our ties with them, and I don't know, it's could be another Cold War.
What?
Yeah, I don't get that one myself either.
It'd have to be immobilized a heck of a lot more than it is to be a Cold War. The Cold War was, I don't know the cause, but it was only able to fester like it was because of the way the world was. With the internet, I don't think we can do the same. I don't think it would be the same anymore. We know too much about what the other side's doing. I think they depended on, or it required, ignorance of what the other side was doing for the masses. The masses had to just be able to be led, gullible.
Well, do you think there's any validity in the fact that Russia could be a potential threat to us if they're taking these sanctions as an aggressive posture towards them?
I don't.
They might. Why would they? Who's going to win? I mean, where are we at? I don't see it that they're bloodthirsty. I mean, they could, I suppose, but I think that it could potentially just be as many other things. I'm no expert on the guy's psychology or anything, but I just don't see where anybody profits by going into a war. He's got too much to lose,
The only way that the United States can be taken down is not by firepower or the American will to fight for the just cause, but they will be taken out by the failure to recognize ignorance, and whether it be economically, and infiltrate. Really, it's the only way to take the U.S. down. I don't think any country can go up against the United States, toe to toe. There's no way. Nobody has the artillery that we have. It has to be by infiltration, or dumbing us down, or economically.
I don't know. Anybody else got any thoughts on that?
Well, to be honest, here's what I think, and I think it was just the rebels because, I'm going to call them rebels. You can call them terrorists, whatever, but they shot a Ukrainian cargo plane down earlier in the week. I think they were just doing this. They thought these rebels thought they had another cargo plane or military plane that they're just shooting down, and didn't realize it was a jetliner.
Well, now, when did this happen?
So it was an accident and we should forgive him?
No, I'm not saying we should forgive him. That's what I think. Like people are trying to put a conspiracy in here that was done on purpose. I think it was, these rebels that are just being gung-ho and not really knowing what they're doing.
So, wait, so you think it's the rebels that shot the plane down?
Yeah.
It could be. If it was the rebels that shot it down, it could be. You just be like, hey, look at this fucking thing flying over us. We don't know what it is. We can't see 30,000 feet in the air. We just see a red dot on the map. Shoot that shit down. Or it could be an orchestrated. Either way, that's why I said at the beginning of the chat, I can side either way with this, with whatever it is that anyone did.
Right. Well, the rebels, as I said, shot down a Ukrainian plane, a cargo plane, earlier in the week.
I see two likely scenarios: that either the rebels are just kind of idiots and fired at a plane that they thought was coming to bomb them or something, but it turned out to be a commuter plane, and they screwed up, and they're screw-ups. Or the day that the sanctions against Russia took effect, the Russians made it look like the rebels shot down a passing jetliner for their own purposes. I mean, either way, it's going to look like the rebels did it, I guarantee. The evidence is going to make it look like rebels shot down the plane.
Do the rebels have that kind of weaponry, that kind of technology, and at their disposal?
Yes.
Well, they They stole some, but they would still need some training, which is from, you fill in the blank.
Well, I mean, I'm
I thought
sure
that
if
stuff
they're
has like signals or whatever, and the commercial planes don't send out the same signal as a military plane. So wouldn't that, in other words, you can't just take like I'm sure the U.S. SAM missile or whatever, the shoulder-fired thing. You can't just go to an airport and shoot that at a plane. I think it needs to lock onto an enemy radar or whatever the hell it does. So I suspect you have to have some know-how to be able to shoot on a regular plane.
I'm going to disagree with that because these weapons are designed to be point and shoot weapons. They're not designed to have to be able to detect some type of special signal off the plane because military planes don't.
I'm pretty sure military stuff has that built into it so that there's not the potential of it getting out of hand, getting lost or stolen. Plus, we're talking a thing that can go to 33,000 feet.
I don't think you're going to use a point and shoot missile is not going to hit something at 33,000 feet.
I was about to say I don't think the shoulder fired missiles can get that high that fast, but again, I would
they can't get that high. Period.
20,000 feet is like the max for one of our shoulder fired missiles. But again, I would think that would need radar or something, something to lock onto. It's not going to just point 20,000 feet up and then do whatever speed it's going.
Okay, so let's just say that you have some rebels in this giant machine, and it's got a built-in radar on the front of it there. They spot the plane flying overhead, and they're sitting there, and they're arguing, and they're like, I think that's a Russian plane going to bomb us or bomb one of our rebel facilities. And they decide, okay, that's the enemy, and they fire the missile into it. And they don't know till after it's all said and done they shot down a commuter plane by mistake. I can totally see that happening.
I just don't think we need somebody who's a missile person because I'm pretty sure if you got those skills to run a missile thing to shoot a plane that high, then you also would know either how to bypass the whatever that's called, that lockout, or to ignore it.
Well, here's the thing.
There's something that says, "Warning, this is a commercial plane. Warning, there's nothing about this that looks military."
I'm told that.
What's to stop? Hey, no, I got a question for Jewem. So, what's to stop the enemy airplane from sending out a signal that's commuter airlines?
Oh, I don't know. I'm no counterinsurgents or counter
that'd be
radar guy, but I'm just saying we should talk to somebody who knows what they're talking about because I suspect you can't just jump into a missile launcher and just launch a missile at I want to launch it at that school or that duck over there. I'm pretty sure these things are designed to go after the enemy.
You got to remember, these are Russian.
These are Russian.
They're not stupid. They know what modern air, the more modern air, whatever you want to call it, battlefield looks like. There's multiple planes up there. We got planes flying radar. We got drones now. If it just goes after anything moving, it's going to go after anything. I don't think missiles are that dumb anymore.
Again, my dad, and this was a long time ago, he designed missiles and guidance systems. And typically missiles and guidance systems are designed to lock on to the moving objects, intercept them. They have rules and stuff, but they don't actually analyze the object they're going after. They don't sit there and go, that's a jet fighter, that's a C-130, that's a commercial cargo jet, that's a FedEx plane. They don't determine.
Obviously, I'm not suggesting they do that either. I'm just saying that they do require
people launching it are the ones responsible for figuring that out.
I've been told
they launch it have to determine it's the enemy.
Hang on.
That's why there's friendly fire.
One at a time. Tech, what's up?
Nate, I heard today, and again, I'm not an expert by any means on this stuff, but I heard today that is the first test with those new missile systems that do lock on and go that high and go that fast, that the first detection is friendly versus foe.
So in that case, like G-Web said, you would have to know if it's we'll just call it a smart missile. If that smart missile it could be somehow bypassed or tampered with to where it could shoot down a commercial plane, that would be a direct act, like a not a fuck is that, a voluntary act, they meant to do that shit.
Well, here's another thing that I want to say though. These rebels, they stole some of these vehicles from the Ukrainian army. They would, they would so that they don't shoot down, so they can't shoot down the Ukrainian planes. They'd have to disable that feature so they could actually shoot down Ukrainian planes.
Here's my question to this whole thing. Is this: first of all, you can't distinguish what plane is what. Missiles don't have any preferences. They're usually heat-guided missiles, from my knowledge and from what I've seen. Otherwise, the C-130s wouldn't have angel wings or flares that they dump out. Or you wouldn't have these flares that you dump out of the fighter jets when the missiles are seeking. These passenger planes don't have those flares. So these missiles are just launched randomly at red blimps that are on the targets. Whatever it hits, it hits. If there's a C-130 that's a U.S. plane and a missile launches at it because it's a red blimp on their target, they're going to launch flares. And these missiles will hit those flares and not the plane. So these aren't missiles that are distinguished whether, oh, this is a passenger plane, or this guy has flares, or it doesn't have flares, or it's just going up, and it's following heat or an object, locking on, and knocking it down.
Yes. Now, commercial planes do not even have the warning systems that military planes do. When they've got like a radar lock on a military plane, it actually gives a pilot warning, radar, or whatever whatever it says for the pilot. Commercial planes don't even have that. So the commercial plane, being an overcast day, no clue that a missile is being fired at it.
Whoa. Where do you get the idea that Russian fighters don't have the same missile lock radar that we do?
No, I'm saying fighter planes have that. Commercial planes don't.
Passenger planes don't.
Oh, okay.
Commercial.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to emphasize on, that missiles have no preference. Missiles are usually following heat or objects that are locked on. They don't follow.
They're locked on by laser, by heat, by.
Send them from it.
Well, and that's what we're saying now with technology the way it is, that there are new, from what Tac Daddy had read, that there's new missile systems that are like a smart missile. They could, maybe they have a digital eye or something that would know the outline of a fighter jet versus the outline of a passenger plane.
Hold on. I'm reading Wikipedia. The perfect
I'm
source from
Wikipediaing
this,
SAM missiles right now too, but what I want to say is Ukraine does not have any. I don't think Ukraine has state-of-the-art stuff.
No, it's not Ukraine. I guarantee it was Russia that shot that fucking plane down.
But I'm just saying, if it's Ukrainian rebels that stole Ukrainian old Russian surplus missile tank thing like that, then more than likely they're launching something 20 years old. It's not state-of-the-art. I doubt the rebels have state-of-the-art stuff. They're going to have surplus Russian late Cold War access to equipment. You know what I'm saying?
Stone Guy just gave missiles eyeballs, for the record.
I'm just looking at Wikipedia, and it describes, the man-portable air defense system, shoulder-fired surface-to-air missiles. They say the unguided missiles were the first ones in Germany, Nazi Germany, in 1944. Those were unguided and experimental and were quickly abandoned for infrared, which is the heat-seeking kind, which were abandoned in the 60s because they would go after things like the sun and other aircraft. So then they went to the Stinger and those which are able to filter out interfering IR sources. And so like Stone Guy, I think what you're saying is they look for the heat signature of a particular plane. So again, a jet is different than an airliner, and different jets are different from each other, and that's the capacity they have to distinguish. And then the third generation went to quasi images of the target to recognize their target, and then the fourth generation incorporate focal plane array guidance center, so they literally look at the thing they're shooting, so that again you can shoot it at the plane you want without having to have a laser on it. Now there's also line of sight, which you have to keep a laser pointed on the aircraft, and it's possible they have one of those, I guess. But according to this, they got rid of the more rogue missiles because they couldn't, they weren't as accurate as they wanted them to be. I think you might be confusing them with the air-to-air missiles, which when a plane is right behind another plane, those missiles are cheaper, and they just shoot out and hit a heat source because they're in the middle of a dogfight or whatever. But we're talking ones that have to launch from the ground with some sort of input as to what to shoot at. And that's either, like you're saying, point at something and then depend on a heat source, which they say were abandoned, or else you have like a laser, or high-intensity laser. You laze the target, and then the missile just follows the laser to wherever you're pointing it, which requires eye contact. They could have that kind, but according to this, in the 60s, they went away from heat-seeking. So I don't know what Ukraine has, but if they went through the Cold War, I'm guessing they're not using 60s tech. They're using at least 80s tech.
Yeah, 80s, early 90s.
Just into MiGs and jets, and again, they don't just throw missiles up in the air. That's no strategy.
Also, there's radar-guided missiles, which are very popular. That's where you have a radar system in the head of the missile that once you send it, it keeps radar contact with what you fired it at. Of course, it doesn't work on stealth stuff.
Well, they don't include that here, so that might be something that's vehicle-fired. This is just shoulder-fired stuff. And I'm just assuming if it was somebody doing this as a rogue thing, they'd have to be doing it shoulder-fired because it's a lot faster than trying to drag a vehicle in.
Yeah, but the shoulder-fired, they couldn't have gotten to the altitude that the plane was at.
Are they on top of a mountain there, though? Where did this happen?
No. They're not that high up. 13,000 feet would be, they had to be at an elevation of 13,000 feet plus.
Maybe they were on Mount Everest and they shot it from there.
Yeah. But SOS guy said it wasn't Ukrainian, it was Russian SA-20 Putin supplied to the Russian rebels. They originally claimed responsibility online and then took it down when they found out it was a civilian plane. So the Russian rebels claimed that they shot it down.
Hey, those missiles you were talking about that are outdated, that followed anything, are the ones that probably Hamas is using to launch into Israel with no kind of guidance whatsoever, just launching random missiles into Israel.
Well, all right. While we're talking shoulder-mounted ground-to-air, which is a specific purpose, if we're just talking ground-to-ground, that's just probably, and like I thought they were talking about modifying air-to-air ones for those.
Yeah, because
mortar, really.
Yeah, just throwing mortar shells and other missiles. Just it's like launching bottle rockets. They don't have any kind of destination. They're just launching them into Israel.
Yeah, that's just a broad attack.
What was the type of missile for?
It's like kill.
They're the ones shooting out of a little. I just saw them do that. It looked like a little battery where they, probably 8 or 10 missiles go off at once out of a little box-looking deal.
Yep, from the back of a pickup truck.
Right. I don't know what they call those things, but yeah, it was like a big metal box, and when they hit the button, like 8 or 10 missiles shot out.
No, they're just missile batteries. That's all they are. They're unguided. They're just World War II tech. And we use the exact same style of missile in World War II. We just launched them off of...
Is that picture supposed to be an SA-20 then, Quark, in your picture?
Yes.
Because I'm looking at a Gargoyle SA-20 on Wikipedia, and it's a little bigger, way bigger actually.
Oh, excuse me, mine is an M2.
The thing that I'm looking at here, the tubes look as big around as like 55-gallon drums. It's a major missile if it's that.
Did you guys hear anything about a 5-hour ceasefire between Israel and the Hamas insurgents, and 2 hours into this ceasefire that Israel started, hey, we don't want to launch anything for 5 hours. Let the UN come in, say whatever they have to say, and then Hamas launches like 50 missiles some Pearl Harbor type shit into Israel 2 hours into this ceasefire. Did you guys hear anything about that?
Well, it's already well past that. Israel's actually sending in ground troops now.
Yeah, I heard
There's
something
actually-
about ground troops as well.
Yeah, the ground troops are already in there. They show pictures of it on the nightly news tonight. Looks like it's just a blaze. It's kind of glowing where the troops are going in.
Because that's some bullshit to me, man. It's like you're fighting someone and be like, all right, gloves off, let's take a rest. Yeah. Then when you go to your corner, you get punched in the face.
Yeah. Well, what gets me is the Palestinians are launching these missiles, storing these missiles, everything near where women and children are.
Random.
So, yeah, well, they're storing them. They're keeping them. They're doing this near populations where as women and children are, or a hospital, or anything like that, because, well, Israel can't fire back because they might kill some innocent people. Well, guess what? Israel's going to fire back because they're not going to sit there and take a left and a right constantly.
Yeah, they're setting up in where the kids are, and in prayer, mosques and stuff. That's some pussy shit.
And
it's pussy
here's the
shit.
thing is, when the
Israel says,
Israelis
"Fuck
fire
you."
back, then more people join up with them instead of going, hey, why are you a-holes sticking these missiles in schools? Why are you endangering the kids? They just say, oh, Israel killed a bunch of our kids, and they don't even have the common sense to say it's the idiots' faults who hid the missiles right by the schools on purpose.
Exactly, and I see it all over the news. I'm tired of it. I see it on Facebook. Some people writing, oh, why does Israel have to do this? Why does Israel have... No, why do these fucking people have to, hide these fucking missiles in prayer places and then in little place where the kids are at, like big bags, and I have a fucking destination for my rocket. I'm knocking out your SAM system, and if it happens to be where these kids are, well, I'm sorry. It's your fucking fault for being such a vag. It's not that I want to purposely kill these kids and women. It's your fault. And then that shit gets all over the news. Oh, Israel is so horrible. I'm tired of it.
Well, that's a good point. I mean, that's just like kind of what happened in Afghanistan. When we occupied that land, the people were given warning to, hey, you need, Americans are coming, British are coming, we're coming to clear out the insurgents, and if you don't want to be in the middle of it, you need to leave. And they were given ample time to get out of there. And the ones that chose to stay may have suffered some collateral damage.
And nobody wants that. Nobody wants shit like that.
I don't think we should have.
On screen, kill kids and women.
Why? What did you just say, G-Webs?
I don't think we want to hire you as our PR person since you said we occupied them and enforced mandatory freedom. You have a chance to leave before we enforce mandatory freedom.
Yeah.
You have been warned. You're now free. Suffer the consequences.
You're a free agent.
Well, we all. Let's be honest. Let's call a spade a spade. We went in there with the intentions.
Occupy. They leave. Occupy. They take and leave with it. We just went in there and tried to help, and like a bunch of suckers. Like you guys were talking. I mean, it's like the end of text chat when you were saying, would you go interfere if this was happening right in front of you? The old guy was getting beat up or stabbed or whatever. It's like we saw a bunch of women getting stabbed over there, and bunch of guys making bombs or whatever, so we're like, hey, let's go in and try to help out, maybe, give them some support, and then we got clobbered. I mean, it's not really occupation. Occupation is like, hey, guess what, you're living by our rules now, and then we're taking, whatever we feel is right in payback. What did we take in payback besides abuse? So I don't think we occupied them.
All I gotta say,
we came to liberate them, and we ended up destroying more of, not to say that, the the Taliban wouldn't have done as much, if not more, damage than we did. But it definitely didn't
They
go
would have
off like it was
quietly-
supposed to.
They would have quietly acid their chicks in the face and quietly beat them whenever they talked and quietly do whatever weird shit they do that was getting everybody pissed, right? And then quietly make a bunch of bombs to blow up someplace.
What the world doesn't understand, and it's very simple. The world doesn't understand that if the United States fall, and we as Americans need to understand this as well. If the United States fall, who does the world turn to? Can anybody answer that?
And then who do they immediately blame after it?
Yeah,
Same place.
who does the world turn to? If the United States falls, let's say we become, China takes over or Russia takes over, who does the world turn to? There is no other country in the world that can ask for help other than the United States.
That's the key, though. I don't think anybody looks at that. And if they did, what do they seriously think? That, oh, well, they've been bad, but that's just because of the U.S. So as soon as the U.S. is gone, they'll have no reason to be bad, and then everything will be great.
That's bullshit. No, China won't help. Russia won't help. There is no other country in the world. America is great because America is, for the most part.
Is there anybody besides India? I don't know about India, at least, that hasn't slaughtered millions. That could possibly stand up and fill the role.
No.
Every country, including us, has slaughtered millions. Oh, we did ours a long, long time ago, and I don't know if it was millions, but
I wouldn't exactly say that we who are you saying we slaughtered? Because the Civil War was a war between North and South.
No. The dick move was taking it from the Indians, but they suckered them out of it. But
in our defense, we were kind of under Great Britain control then.
Oh, I blame it on them. If Obama can blame everything on Bush, we should be able to blame stuff on Great Britain. I agree.
Yeah. King George made us.
We were left with a legacy that caused that.
India blames Great Britain, so.
Here's another thing I gotta say, right? Everybody also says, they come back to, America, we took over the Indians and whatever. Okay, we did take over the Indians, but did the Indians create anything, any kind of technology or anything?
So if people aren't technologically useful, they need to be exterminated. Is that what you just said?
No, I didn't say that. Not exterminated.
I know what they did. I think they made cigarettes.
High blood pressure, alcoholism, and casinos.
Yeah, I didn't say
gambling.
Hey, the Indians are in a Cold War to kill us with their casinos.
And even though I was born on his birthday, it doesn't make, but no, I don't think anybody should be exterminated. But what has anybody created other than Americans? Whether we went into Germany and took some other scientists and taught ourselves and used future weapons and stuff like that.
And for the most part, we create and share.
I mean, we brought guns in, not myself, I'm an immigrant, but guns were brought in. Indians had bows and arrows. Technology is a major part of our advancement.
I say bullshit because everybody that's here is us, so you're a we.
Well,
Indians have made.
I will say this, that I heard one person point out once. In World War II, when America got involved, we built the biggest war machine in the shortest amount of time. We went over, we kicked Japan and Germany's rear ends, came back to America, and proceeded to, after taking over both places, proceeded to help them rebuild and took apart all of our old planes and war stuff for the most part. And there's no other civilization in the history of man that has ever conquered, helped rebuild, and then took apart the war machine like we have.
I would say not even conquered. All we did is stop the aggression and then walked away. But
like Russia, what did they do? They kept half of Europe.
And they took.
That's
and
what
they
conquerors
definitely,
do.
they conquered. You're roboting real bad.
Yeah,
You're
you're
coming in and out,
bad.
probably because you're moving. What you could do is up above where the toolbar comes out when you hover over it, you can choose that one that says adjust bandwidth and get rid of some of your video because you're not using it anyway, and then that'll make your audio come through clearer.
Did not Germany have superior weapons and jet fighters?
Well, they did until we sent all our equipment in and kicked their rear ends.
Fucking Canadians say that all the time.
America beat Germany because of part.
Yeah, what happened with Germany though was the technology for the jets came too late. That came toward the very end of the war, and they did not have enough skilled pilots left to be able to man them. Even if they would have started putting those into production, say in 42 instead of 44. That war would have been a whole lot different because our bombers would have been sitting ducks.
Yeah, and
he sit around strategizing how it would have been better for Hitler if he had done something better?
Yeah, he put his resources into things that were too extravagant, and instead of just bulking up on his regular stuff, he was obsessed with super guns and super planes.
I do believe I watched
syndrome.
I do believe I watched a show where they presented the scenario of an aircraft carrier traveling back through time right before Pearl Harbor. That's a great movie, by the way. It has Charlie Sheen in it. No, Martin Sheen. You see Final Countdown?
The
Charlie Sheen at the beginning.
Yeah, the Final Countdown where where they're about to kick the entire Japanese Navy's rear end and Air Force, and then the time portal's back. We have to go back to the future.
It's probably better if we don't just win the war right now.
It's probably better if we don't completely destroy the Japanese war machine right now. Could you?
Well,
but that's a great idea. An aircraft carrier, travels back in time. They could just decimate every military aircraft in the world. So easy.
Yeah, Hitler had a thing for bigger is better, and so he made the
he had the plan everything.
Well, it was called the mouse. Yeah,
that's the reason why they call it.
I'm just glad Hitler was a micromanager and messed up. Because if he had let his really smart generals make decisions on their own, it probably would have gone a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine sitting behind a big gun inside of on the beaches of Normandy, watching these guys come in and laugh when you're like, look at these guys coming into our beach. These guys are sitting up, and you're running out of ammo. You have to refeed that gun, that MG, and these guys just keep coming. I mean, all down onto the beaches. Their brothers are getting chopped in half by the machine gun, but they don't give a fuck. They're advancing, and they go into your hole and they blow the shit out of you. So they make it in. Some guys even stab you to death, but you're manning that gun. That demoralized you. That was America. They won on pure heart and ball. They didn't need it.
And Hitler didn't reinforce the beaches. He did listen to, was it Rommel? And he kept his tanks away from Normandy.
I did want to ask one thing. Woody, have you duct taped your camera to like a cat or something? What is going on?
I think he's on his phone. Yeah, we can't hardly hear you at all now, Woody.
Did you see that video of the cat that was wearing a shark costume and riding on a Aruba?
Nah, I think Woody's on his phone, so that's why he's.
This reminded me of it. It's hilarious.
Most viral video ever.
It really is. Have you seen it, Webb?
The video is excellent.
I know.
Well, hell.
Just up next to the mute button, if you click the camera button, that'll turn off your camera, and then you'll have all kinds of. You'll use your whole pipe for audio.
It's like a Hunter S. Thompson video.
Yeah, like I was telling you, I'm learning.
Yeah, we can't hear you at all. Does he have that option on a phone?
Well, on a phone, if he's the microphone's probably sensitive. I don't know how that works.
Well, it's been about an hour.
You're missing one thing, Stone Guy. You didn't talk about this at all.
What's that?
That the bank robbery and hostage situation that happened yesterday.
Oh yeah, let's hit on that real quick. What's up with that?
Okay, yesterday in California, I can't remember exactly where, there were 3 of them were taken hostage during a bank robbery, and they
Stockton,
Yeah,
California,
too.
same place as the last
Stockton, thank you.
thing with an AK.
Yeah, and yes, they used AKs, and 2 of the hostages managed to be either kicked out or they managed to escape, and one of the bank robbers managed to get out of the vehicle, but the remaining hostage and 2 bank robbers were in a shootout with police, and sadly the hostage was killed.
Wait, so they convinced the hostage to get in a shootout?
No, all I'm saying is
No, they used the hostage as a human
the
shield. 2 of the
Uh,
hostages were thrown from the vehicle and wounded, but they survived.
Oh shit.
Maybe they just pulled the door handles and jumped out when on a slow curve or something. Who knows?
And so they were using AKs for the robbery?
Oh yeah. Now here's can I read something from the story real quick? This is my favorite part of the whole story. The firing never stopped, Jones said, noting that the suspects had ammunition strapped to their bodies. They were trying to kill the officers, no doubt. Really, you think the guys with the AK shooting nonstop were trying to kill the officers? I swear, investigative reporters are like Sherlock Holmes. It's just, they're just idiots.
Well, they're investigating what a bystander says verbatim, so they're not doing much real work, but they're telling you what somebody saw. That's all they do, though. But I say, have you seen the AK? It had its rear trunnion duct tape into place, so I suspect this is all still bullshit reporting. I haven't seen a video yet or anything to prove or disprove my theory, but from the stuff that I've read of it, I heard one witness account where it was like this, that, and this, and then we saw the car run up, and then we heard 3 shots. And then you hear a barrage of shots from the other news, and then from the police they say something like a barrage. What kind of number is a barrage? So I've only heard it substantiated 3 bullets, and if you look at that AK, it fell apart. So I'm just saying, did they really fire anything, or was it like, hey, let's take this almost broken AK and try to rob a bank with it, and then find out that it doesn't even work?
Jobs, I put a link in here earlier.
Also, there's just one AK as far as I've seen. And
Right.
I'm just saying that
There
because
were
if
3
we allow
armed
them,
bank
if we allow
robbers.
them to frame the scenario that there was many AKs and there was gunfire and there was all this, nonstop shooting, then they're describing a movie that they saw. They're not describing what actually happened. If it was really just a bunch of inept burglars, and everybody I've read the feedback I've seen is like, why would they do this? You don't need a gun to rob a bank. It's even worse if you bring a gun. So these are definitely inept, bumbling idiots, or they're trying to get media sensation because they, ran in and did this with hostages. You don't need to do that to rob a bank. If you really want to rob a bank, anybody who knows anything knows that you don't take hostages.
I put the link in the
So
internet.
I just suspect maybe this is more of a I don't want to call it a media attempt or whatever, but publicity attempt or something. But
Well, they
everybody's just
took the hostages. They took the hostages when they left to put in the vehicle, and they took one of the employees' SUVs. So they took 3 hostages, put them in an SUV, and took off from police. So, and I mean, taking hostages is something bank robbers do. And, when you say
well,
that
they did, but I mean, how often does that really happen?
anyone smart doesn't do that, but anyone who's smart doesn't hit a bank either.
Is it no big deal that Israel is invading Gaza today as
We already
well?
solved that earlier. Come on, we solved that 20 minutes ago, dude.
I missed the 5 minutes of this chat. How did I miss that?
We solved that right after the missile-ish crisis and right before.
Yeah, and on that note, it's target and fire, boys. These are military-grade weapons. They track it, and they just push the little button like they're playing Xbox.
In the future, when we're fixing all the world's events, we need to start with the local bank robbery in the U.S., then expand internationally to solve problems.
Lead with the bank
build
robbery,
up.
and then
Yeah.
get them to our internationals.
Yeah, saying day breaks in Gaza following Israeli military invasion.
Yeah, it's
We don't know why they're all invading us. You launched 50 missiles at us yesterday.
yeah. Go back about
That's not our fault.
50 years and start.
Been like, why didn't they use their ground troops that we know they have? They could have done that. It would have been much safer.
Now, being that we're allies with Israel and they just launched this offensive, are we going to get pulled into that, do you think?
No, because Obama doesn't back Israel.
Right.
Exactly. We're not allies of Israel as much as we're just not allies of just randomly killing people because they're a different religion, right?
We just
Dude,
get
we've been
more
allies
money.
with
We get
Israel
more money to
forever.
Israel than any other country in the world.
But
I
you
get
have
it, but
to
I mean, it's
realize
not that we. It's not
this
like
administration
everybody
is
in the
not
country and
Israel-friendly.
everybody in the U.S. said we love Israel so much we wanted to support them. It's like we just all agree that it's crazy to want to kill people because of their religion, and Israel's the one
And
getting
this is
killed.
stuff they do all the time. I mean, Israel did this back in 2009. So I mean, they're always
Responded to
they're
an
all out
attack.
there doing land grabs. They just want all the Palestinian land. Wasn't theirs originally. It's a whole other conversation.
Well, so so is that why Obama's sympathizing with Palestine, which is something that's never been really done before by an American
Right.
president?
Obama, in previous administrations, have always sided with Israel and have been on their side. And Obama has not been an Israel-friendly administration. He's basically deciding that he likes the Palestinian people better than the Israel people and is taking their side in most things. And that's why there's lots of tension between us and them now because of Obama.
Is there any correlation with that in Russia? Like, does Russia have any? Are they?
Russia doesn't like Israel either.
Well, yeah, I know that, but are Russia and Palestine buddies?
They like to sell them arms, I think.
It's friend of your friend is your friend.
The guys who, the people who buy AKs are our friends.
Well, and that's just, that's what I'm saying. I'm just, I'm trying to, obviously
I'm not sure
little bit of
ripples
conspiracy
there.
theory, but yeah, I mean, if we start pissing a bunch of people off.
I'm just saying, there's this little mini war going on in Israel, of their own, and yeah.
Well, they've been doing that for 100 years.
Yeah, it just seems like it's
They
a
can
little more
handle that.
intense right now. Yeah. Well,
they got that.
Israel didn't kick ass.
Well, it seems like that comes in waves, where they little skirmishes throughout centuries of, little battles that ensue.
They're always having a pissing contest over that area. They're always striking. I mean, that place has never been at peace.
Biblical, baby.
And and Russia. I mean, I guarantee you, Putin doesn't really respect Obama. He thinks Obama's a wuss and a pushover, and he's not scared of Obama in the least. And it's kind of like it's kind of like how the hostage crisis happened and Carter couldn't get it fixed, and as soon as Reagan came in, they were like, "Oh crap, the cowboy's going to shoot at us. Let the hostages go." Putin is not intimidated by Obama at all. He thinks Obama's a pushover.
Oh, yes.
Well, on that note, I think the moral of the story here is that if everybody thought like us, the world would be a better place.
Well, maybe
It'd be awfully boring.
most of us. There'd be a few oddballs.
Peace through superior firepower. World peace through superior firepower. That's my new favorite saying.
Hey, stock up. That's what I say. I still say we're gonna be hurting. Obviously there's still gonna be U.S. manufacturers. We're always gonna be able to get an AK. It might not be a Russian AK. We'll still be able to get ammo but it just won't be the good, cheap Russian ammo that we can get now. You know, I mean, there are
in a matter of 3 months, we're losing the 5.45 ammo. Now we're losing AKs, and we're losing all Tula ammo potentially.
Yeah, and now we got the Pro Gun Stone guy telling us it's okay. We just lost a couple of AKs,
like,
just a little bit of the cheap ammo.
Like
it's okay.
The most broad-sworded chopping out of our knees.
I'm trying to stay positive, guys. Cause
No, there's no point. I don't think we should stay positive.
It's crazy.
And that's why I say
we stay positive in our peril.
Everybody should run to Walmart and Academy tomorrow and buy as much fucking Tula ammo as they have on the shelf.
You heard it first. Start an ammo panic by Stone Guy 223.
No, but James Yeager about 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, he released a video that just basically saying that that right now the firearms are at their lowest price, ammunition is at the lowest price, and he said there would be another political action, there would be another grab, and sure enough, man, a month later, here you go.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to predict that there's going to be turmoil over there and that it's going to affect us, and we know this president's going to take any excuse to try to limit. I mean, you know, when he blocked the reimportation of old M1 Garand surpluses, I mean, that just tells you right there that this guy is going to take any opportunity to ban or block import of any weapon that he can.
Yeah, and that kind of lost traction. No one's really talking about that. That kind of is like, it's like we almost just rolled over on that one. It was like, oh, okay, well, it's already done. We won't bitch about it. We won't, bring it up anymore because that's, honestly, that's something that's pretty shitty as well.
23 Americans die in this plane crash, and Obama goes to 3 fundraisers for himself.
Oh, and this Malaysian plane crash?
Yeah.
President shots.
Nah, he took care of the situation. He was on the phone with Putin this morning. I'm sure everything's resolved.
Hey, look what just happened.
I'll have more leeway whenever I get my second election.
I'm not sure what this was.
No problem. They take all the Kalashnikovs off the market. They buy more American weapons.
Yeah.
So left to right, when are we going to see Kalashnikovs coming back?
Weapon.
You're breaking up horrible, everybody.
When a missile flies out of Howard Stern's ass. Did you see that? You guys see that?
What was the question, G-Webs?
Do you guys see that?
When we think we're going to be able to see the return of Russian importation again?
Oh, I don't. When we get a new president.
This is in retaliation to a problem that once the problem's solved, they would open up lines again, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course. This administration will be like, problem solved. Let's import those again. No, they're not going to do that again.
And if anything,
de facto ban will stay in effect until a new administration takes over.
Exactly. I was about to say.
I'm asking the year.
And even then, it won't probably go back into effect.
So when's the elections? 2016.
Yep.
So
there's more.
2016, and that's if. Well, because we're probably going to have fucking Hillary Clinton, so...
There's not going to be any more elections with my comrade. We stay in forever.
I say 2020, because she'll get 4 years, but she won't get reelected, so...
Well, I mean, maybe Vladimir Putin is going to respect Hillary Clinton. She's got bigger balls than Obama.
Oh,
cheap shot. Thank you.
But honestly, that's the thing. Even if it's done in his administration, if the sanctions are lifted, I still say they would lift the sanctions off of the power companies and the other, the other industry, and leave the firearms alone, because that was his ultimate. That was a goal of his anyway, and this was just a way for him to justify doing what he did under the umbrella of all the other companies he put sanctions on.
Well, here's the thing. Whoever goes in after him if they eliminate any of his executive orders, it's only going to be because it's a favor for someone paying them off. I guarantee it. No reason to change the law unless you got some type of benefit out of it as a politician. And I just don't see people in Russia able to, because American lobbyists would pay you not to import cheap AKs because that affects their AR sales.
What's Congress?
What's what?
What is Congress?
I can't hear. Did anybody understand him?
What's
I can't hear.
What?
What's concrete?
Concrete. I thought I heard concrete.
Concrete is a mixture of ash, sand, and water in the right proportions that form solid blocks that your foundation of your house is built out of.
Over time. Okay.
Congress. Oh, he said Congress.
Congress is a place where nothing gets through or passed so that our president can simply make crap up and sign it because he says they're not doing anything.
You mean our Führer?
Yeah. I can't. You're breaking up there pretty bad, Woody. Well, I'm gonna cut this off, and are we gonna open up a lobby chat there? G-Web?
If somebody can open one, we will link to it.
Okay. So anyway, it's been a good little chat. I'm sure this won't be the last time we talk about this, but I want to keep it somewhat short so people can stand to watch an hour of it. And like I said, we'll continue as more information becomes available. I'm sure that's the thing with this executive order. Like G-Web said, he could just write shit in on a daily basis, so you never know. A clearer definition could unfold. A more defined interpretation of what it's truly going to affect may, show itself in the next week. So anyway, we'll talk about it, and we'll keep you up to date on what we find out and what we can, actually verify to be true. And
interesting to see what kind of economics is behind banning the sale of Russian, AKs versus something else that they did or could have sanctioned.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what I'm saying. The power.
That's what we talked about late last night, and we did some math on it. Well, Beaver did some math on it, and yeah, it's like 0.03% of the amount of the stuff that they blocked, sanctioned. The AKs are 0.03% of that.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. It seems like the power companies and the banks are the big deal, and so there's really no reason to open, to lift the sanctions on the firearm end of it if it's resolved.
Or there was no reason to actually put the sanction on the firearm.
Well, and that's why I said I think that was just a way for Obama to sneak this in under that umbrella, and because he's been trying to do this, from what was it when the first gun grab took place after.
Well, once the sanctions over, it has to be lifted because that's rewriting major importation law, then, isn't it, or agreements? You know what I mean? Like all of a sudden, it's like you're changing. They can't just keep that in place.
So you're saying that this man who wrote a sanction saying we can't import all these things can't simply say, now that things are slightly better, I'm going to lift a few of the sanctions.
Oh, sure he can.
Yeah, but not all of them. Guess which one he'll keep?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it's just up to him to willy-nilly keep it. I'm sure Russia's going to have something, they'll want to say, I don't know.
Yeah,
who wouldn't want to get his guns out, man?
Yeah, who knows, man. But anyway, I appreciate everybody tuning in. Appreciate everybody on the panel for participating, and we'll see you guys next time.